She said I was a burden, a broken man who'd slow her life down. She didn't even look back when she walked away. But now she smiles at my new neighbor. She doesn't know. The man in that mansion is me. Enoch and Dedi were in love. They talked about their future all the time, having a small music studio, traveling together, maybe even starting a family. Every night was full of laughter, every day full of plans. But one rainy evening changed everything. A terrible car accident left Enoch unable to walk. His spine was damaged. The doctors said he might never walk again. Everything became quiet. His laughter disappeared. His smile faded. The man who once danced with her now sat in silence, learning how to live in a wheelchair. And Dedi was there at first. She cried. She held his hand. But soon her love started to change. She didn't see the man she used to love anymore. She saw problems. She saw stress. She saw a future she didn't want. 2 weeks after the accident, while Enoch struggled to accept his new reality, Dedi packed her bags. She didn't even look him in the eyes. "I didn't sign up for this," she said coldly, standing at the door. Enoch wanted to speak, to beg her to stay, but the words were stuck in his throat. His heart was already broken, and now the one person he thought would stand by him had walked away. Just like that, she was gone. No hugs, no goodbye kiss, just silence and the sound of the door closing behind her. She left with her dreams, and he was left with pain, wheels, and a deep hole where love used to live. That was the moment Enoch knew. He had lost her not because of who he was, but because of what he could no longer do. And that hurt more than the accident ever could. Enoch watched her walk away slowly, her heels clicking on the floor as she headed to the door. And Dedi didn't turn around, not even once. She just opened the door, stepped out, and left, like he was nothing, like he never mattered. She took the car they once drove together, the one they sang in, the one he had fixed for her birthday, and just like that, she disappeared from his life. Enoch didn't cry, not a single tear, but not because it didn't hurt. No, his pain was too deep for tears. Since the accident, his voice had stopped working properly. He hadn't spoken much, not because he couldn't, but because he didn't know what to say anymore. So many emotions, but no words. So many thoughts, but all stuck in his chest. But inside, his heart was screaming, louder than ever, screaming in pain, screaming in confusion, screaming for her. He remembered how she held his hand in the hospital that first day. She said she loved him. She said they'd get through it. But those words disappeared faster than his strength. Each day after, she seemed more distant. Her smile faded. Her hugs became shorter. Her eyes stopped meeting his. And now she was gone, like he was just a bad memory she wanted to forget. The silence she left behind was heavy. He sat in his wheelchair, staring at the empty room. It used to be their space. Now it was just him and the quiet, the pictures on the wall, the scent of her perfume still in the air, the blanket she left behind. It all hurt more than his broken body. His pride, once strong and full of life, now felt shattered like glass on the floor. She left with the car and her freedom. He was left with the wheelchair, the cold silence, and a soul full of question. Not just why she left, but why she gave up so easily, why she didn't fight for him, why love vanished the moment life got hard. That goodbye, with no tears, no hug, no real explanation, broke him more than the crash ever did, because wounds on the body heal, but some heartbreaks leave scars no one can see. Enoch could have given up. After Dedi left and the world moved on without him, no one expected him to rise again. People looked at him with pity. Some avoided him completely. Others whispered behind his back. But Enoch didn't care anymore. He wasn't focused on what people thought. He was focused on something bigger, his second chance. While others saw a man stuck in a wheelchair, Enoch saw a fresh start, like a blank page waiting to be written on. He knew his legs didn't work, but his mind was sharper than ever. He began spending long nights on his laptop, drawing ideas, making notes, studying technology. Slowly, he started designing small tools, gadgets that could help people like him do simple things without asking for help, things that people with working legs never even thought about. He rented a tiny room, turned it into a workshop, and worked in silence. He didn't post about it. He didn't complain. He just worked, day after day, night after night. His wheelchair became his office chair. His pain became his fuel. His loneliness became his focus. At first, no one noticed. But then, one of his simple designs went viral online. a small robotic arm attachment to help people in wheelchairs cook without assistance. Emails started coming in, messages from people all over the world, investors, organizations, tech companies. Everyone wanted to know the man behind the idea. What started in a quiet room became a movement. Enoch partnered with global brands. He spoke at conferences. He created jobs. He gave other disabled people tools to live better lives. His company grew, and so did his confidence. Enoch still couldn't walk, but now he was moving the world. His wheels weren't holding him back. They were carrying him forward. He didn't chase revenge. He didn't chase Dedi. He chased purpose. And in that purpose, he found power. He found peace. People who once pitied him now praised him. The world that ignored him now followed him. Enoch had reinvented himself, not as a man who lost everything, but as a man who built something greater from nothing. He didn't need to walk to go far, because his mind, his heart, and his will had already taken him places his legs never could. While Enoch was quietly rebuilding his life, and Dedi was busy chasing a new dream, one that sparkled on the outside, but felt empty on the inside. She moved to a new estate, a place where the houses were big, the fences were high, and everyone looked like they were living their best life. She told herself she deserved better, that she deserved a man with money, power, and style. She didn't want struggle or pain anymore. She wanted soft life, a life of luxury, where she never had to worry again. Her days were filled with taking perfect selfies, showing off her clothes, her makeup, her nails. She posted pictures of her brunches, her vacations, and her new boyfriend, a man who had money, a nice car, and a cold heart. He wasn't kind. He didn't listen. He didn't care about her feelings, but he paid the bills, and he looked good in photos. So she smiled, even when the smiles weren't real. At parties, she laughed the loudest. At dinner, she posed for pictures more than she ate. On social media, she looked like a queen, but in her heart, something was missing. The love Enoch once gave her, the way he used to look at her, listen to her, laugh with her, it was gone, and no amount of shopping or fine dining could fill that space. One morning, while sipping juice on her balcony and scrolling through her filtered photos, she noticed something. A mansion was being built right next door. Not just any mansion. This one looked expensive, modern, and different. Every day, workers came and went. Expensive cars drove in and out. It was clear someone very rich was moving in. And for some reason, Dedi found herself staring more often than she meant to. She started asking questions in the estate. Who's moving in next door? But no one knew. The owner kept everything private. The curiosity began to grow in her like a seed. She started peeking through the blinds, watching, waiting, hoping to catch a glimpse. Something inside her stirred, a strange mix of jealousy, regret, and wonder. She didn't know why she cared so much, but deep down, something told her. This house, this neighbor, this story wasn't just random. It felt personal, and soon she would understand why. The new mansion beside Dedi's house quickly became the talk of the estate. It was huge, modern, and beautiful, like something out of a movie. Expensive black cars came in and out, all with dark windows. Guards stood at the gate 24/7, wearing matching suits and earpieces. But no one ever saw the owner, not once. It was strange. Rich people usually liked to show off, but this person stayed hidden, quiet, private, almost invisible. Dedi watched the house every day from her window. Sometimes she stood on her balcony, pretending to water plants, just to see if she could catch a glimpse. But days passed, and still, nothing. Only the workers, the security, and the fancy deliveries. It made her more curious. Who was this rich person? Why so much privacy? What were they hiding? Then, one Sunday morning, everything changed. Dedi was sipping her tea on the balcony like she always did, scrolling through her phone, half distracted. But out of the corner of her eye, she noticed something. Movement near the pool in the neighbor's yard. She looked up and almost dropped her cup. There he was, a man, moving slowly down the private path to the pool, but not walking, wheeling, in a sleek, black wheelchair. She stared hard. Her heart began to beat faster. That face, that shape, the way he held himself. Number it couldn't be. She shook her head, even laughed a little to herself. "I'm imagining things," she whispered, but her eyes stayed locked on him. The man's side profile, the tilt of his head, the calm way he moved. It was too familiar. Her hands felt cold. Her body froze. Could it be Enoch? She hadn't seen him since the day she walked away, since she told him he was a burden, since she chose a future without him. She leaned over the balcony, hoping to see more, but the man turned a corner and disappeared behind the tall wall. Her heart was now racing. She stood there for minutes, not moving, replaying that moment in her mind. If it was really Enoch, then he wasn't just alive. He wasn't just doing okay. He was thriving in a mansion right next door. And the most shocking part, he hadn't said a word. He hadn't knocked on her door. He hadn't tried to show off. He was just there, quiet, strong, and that silence shook her more than any words ever could. In the twilight, one hot afternoon, Dedi decided to take a slow walk around the estate market. She wanted to distract herself, but deep down, her mind was still on the man she saw by the pool. That face wouldn't leave her head. She needed answers. As she walked past a fruit stand, she greeted the old vendor she often bought from. They chatted for a bit, and then she casually pointed toward the mansion next door. "That new house. Do you know who lives there?" she asked, trying to sound relaxed. The vendor smiled wide and leaned closer. "Ah, you don't know. That's Enoch Maduka." And Dedi's eyes widened. Her heart skipped. "Enoch?" she asked softly. "Yes," the vendor nodded. "The tech guy. Very rich now. He makes technology for disabled people. Billionaire, they say. He just moved in last month. Very quiet man, but good man." And Dedi forced a smile and nodded. "Oh, that's nice," she said, then walked away quickly. Her legs felt weak, her breath short, her thoughts spinning. So it really was him. The same Enoch she had left in that hospital room. The same man she called a burden. The man who couldn't walk, couldn't speak, and looked so lost. Now, he was Enoch Maduka, billionaire tech inventor, living in the house right beside hers. And Dedi laughed nervously when she got home. She looked at herself in the mirror and tried to believe maybe he had forgotten her. Maybe he didn't even recognize her anymore. After all, time had passed. People change, right? But something in her heart told her the truth. Enoch hadn't forgotten. In fact, maybe that's why he hadn't said a word, why he hadn't looked her way or knocked on her door. Maybe silence was his message, and it was louder than anything he could have ever said. And Dedi sat down slowly, feeling a strange mix of shock, regret, and shame. This wasn't just about seeing an old lover again. This was about seeing the man she gave up on now become someone the world admired. And now, the truth was in front of her, clear and painful. She left him when he was down. Now he had risen, not just as a man, but as a force. And he had returned, not to beg, not to show off, but to exist, right beside her. And that was more powerful than revenge. One weekend, the estate organized a classy neighborhood party. Music, lights, drinks, and wealthy people everywhere. And Dedi saw it as a perfect chance to show off her new man. He was a good-looking guy with money, charm, and the kind of confidence she thought she needed. She dressed to impress and made sure they arrived fashionably late. Everyone was talking and laughing, but her eyes kept wandering to one corner of the party. And then she saw him, Enoch. He had come, calm, quiet, confident, dressed in a black suit, sitting in his wheelchair with quiet grace. People were shaking his hand, smiling, and clearly impressed to meet him. He didn't try to stand out, but somehow he still did. And Dedi's heart started beating faster. She couldn't avoid this moment anymore. Later that evening, the moment came. Enoch and her boyfriend stood side by side, and she had no choice but to introduce them. "Enoch, meet Chucks," she said, pretending everything was normal. "Chucks, this is Enoch, my old friend." Enoch smiled politely and nodded. "Nice to meet you." Chucks grinned and shook his hand. "Man, I've heard about you," he said, leaning in. "You're the tech genius, right? The one who built that disability tech empire. You're loaded, man. Your story's crazy." Enoch chuckled softly. "I've been blessed," he replied calmly. And Dedi laughed too, trying to seem relaxed, but inside her stomach was turning. Her smile was fake. Her heart was screaming, because the story her boyfriend was so impressed by was her story too. She was the one who left Enoch when he was at his lowest. She was the woman, in the part of the story no one knew, the one who said, "I didn't sign up for this," and walked away. Now, Enoch was the man everyone wanted to be around, and she stood beside her new boyfriend, listening to compliments that reminded her of everything she gave up. She looked at Enoch, and for a brief second, their eyes met. No hate, no anger, just calm strength in his eyes. That hurt more than if he had shouted at her, because silence, his silence, spoke louder than any words. And in that moment she realized, you never really escape your past, especially when it lives right next door and shines brighter than your future. A few days after that awkward party, and Dedi was still trying to shake off the feeling that clung to her like a shadow. She kept thinking about Enoch's calm smile, the way he quietly showed strength while she pretended everything was fine. She avoided looking at his mansion when she could, but curiosity always pulled her eyes back. One evening, after a long day filled with fake smiles and forced conversations, Dedi came home tired and ready to forget the world. As she stepped onto her porch, her foot brushed against something on the doormat. She looked down and saw a small folded piece of paper. There was no envelope, no name, no sign telling her who left it, just a simple note lying there like a quiet challenge. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up and unfolded the paper. Her eyes scanned the words slowly. Thank you for leaving. You made space for greatness. The message was short but sharp, like a punch to her chest. And Dedi's heart raced, and her hands felt like they were burning. She dropped the note right there on the ground, as if it had caught fire. She stared at the words, trying to understand what they meant. Was it anger? Was it forgiveness? Was it a warning? Deep down, she knew it was all of those things, and more. Enoch was telling her that her leaving wasn't just pain or loss for him. It was a turning point, because when she walked away, she cleared the path for something greater to grow, something she never believed he could be. And that stung more than any insult or fight. Dedi wanted to scream, cry, or run away. Instead, she felt frozen. The note was a mirror, showing her the truth she had hidden from herself for so long. She left him when he was broken, but he had rebuilt himself into something powerful, something unstoppable. And now, he wasn't just a man in a wheelchair. He was a force to be reckoned with. That letter was more than just words. It was a quiet reminder that life doesn't stop when you fall. It only stops if you let it. Dedi folded the note carefully and kept it in her purse, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time she read it in her mind, the fire inside her grew, but not the kind she wanted. It was the fire of regret, of what could have been, and what she lost when she chose to walk away. After receiving that powerful note, Dedi couldn't stop thinking about Enoch. Her pride was bruised, but deep inside, she wanted to reach out, to say something, anything. She picked up her phone and sent him messages. Simple ones at first, like, I hope you're well, and can we talk? But hours passed. No reply. Days passed. Still silence. She tried again, sending little hints on social media, posts that she hoped he would see, pictures with captions like, sometimes people don't realize what they have until it's gone, or strength comes from the hardest lessons. She waited anxiously for a sign, a like, a comment, anything to show he noticed, but nothing came. Feeling desperate, Dedi took a bold step. She asked one of his security guards to deliver a gift to Enoch, a small box wrapped beautifully, with a note inside that read, for you, hoping for a fresh start. She thought maybe this would break the silence, maybe show she still cared. The next day, the same security guard came back, but this time he had something in his hand. It was the gift box, unopened, with a new note attached. And Dedi's hands trembled as she read the words. Cold and clear. Gifts aren't replacements for loyalty. Those words hit her harder than any rejection before. It was like Enoch was telling her that no presents, no sweet messages, no fake apologies could make up for what she lost. The loyalty she once promised, but broke when she walked away. And Dedi's illusions began to crumble. She realized she had been holding on to a hope that was never real. She thought she could fix everything with a simple message or a gift, but some things, once broken, can't be fixed that easily. Regret started to grow deep inside her, a heavy feeling she couldn't shake. She remembered how easily she gave up on Enoch when things got hard, how she walked away when he needed her most. Now, she saw the truth. While she was chasing wealth and comfort, Enoch was building a life without her, stronger, better, and far beyond her reach. No message, no gift, just that one note reminding her that loyalty means more than words or things. And in that moment, Dedi knew she had lost more than just a man in a wheelchair. She had lost the chance to stand by someone who was destined for greatness. One evening, Enoch held a big charity gala at his beautiful new mansion. The event was to raise money for people like him, accident survivors who needed support and hope. It was a night full of light, music, and laughter. Enoch was the center of it all, glowing with confidence and surrounded by friends and strangers who respected and loved him. He wasn't the broken man Dedi thought he was. He was powerful and full of life. And Dedi wasn't invited to the party. She wasn't even sure if she should come, but something inside her pushed her to go. She wanted to see for herself what he had become, maybe to find some kind of closure. When she arrived, she stood quietly by the edge of the crowd, watching Enoch move through the room with ease and grace. He was laughing with people who had never left him when things got tough, people who believed in him and his dreams. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Enoch's gaze held no anger, no bitterness. Instead, he smiled, a gentle, calm smile that said more than words ever could. It was a smile of someone who had forgiven, someone who had found peace inside himself. Then, without a word, he wheeled away into the crowd, leaving Dedi standing there, overwhelmed. In that moment, she realized something powerful. Enoch hadn't spent his time thinking about revenge or hatred. Instead, he had used his pain to grow stronger, to help others, and to live a life full of meaning. The peace he carried was something money couldn't buy, something she could never take from him. It was a peace born from rising above pain, from choosing strength over bitterness. And Dedi watched him go, feeling small and empty inside. She understood now that losing her was the best thing that ever happened to him. And while she had lost him forever, he had found something far greater, power with peace. If this story touched you, don't scroll without sharing. Someone needs to hear that pain can become power. Tag a silent fighter. Comment rising above if you believe in second chances. Share this with someone who gave up too soon. Let them know it's never the end.